Crypto Kids, welcome back to another live stream. If you're watching this as a video, make sure to stay tuned until the end. Skip to the timestamps that I'll be putting after the live show. Ladies and gents, Bitcoin hit $63,000 today, which is unbelievable, and we're currently seeing this crazy candle. So I was just about to post a video and talking about what's happening here and where could we potentially find resistance. And I say, you know what, let's go live because of this crazy price action. And here I mentioned that Bitcoin will most likely see resistance at the 53,000, sorry, not the 53, but $63,000 level, because 63K, if we jump back into macro analysis, right? So in macro TA, if we go back to the previous all-time highs, 60K is going to be important. So $60,000 is the first very crucial level of resistance. If you've been watching the previous videos, you know that we were talking about the $60,000 level. So after surpassing $54,500, after surpassing $56,000, we mentioned that Bitcoin could head to 60K. And that's where we're right now finding resistance. There's this incredibly volatile wick that's happening, this incredibly volatile candle that went to almost $64,000, and then we saw a dip to 58.7K, which is unbelievable. But in this live stream / video, I'm going to be talking about what I think can happen to the price of Bitcoin. We have multiple charts to be going through. On top of that, we're going to be going through Ethereum and what's happening with altcoins, because Ethereum hit $3,473 very briefly, and now we're seeing a small correction in price. We're going to be looking at cycle analysis, Bitcoin dominance, and a couple of altcoins of your choice. We'll also go into IBIT and a lot of news and on-chain data. So stay tuned. Let me know if the mic is good, if the if the video is good. That would be very much appreciated. And guys, share this live stream and video with your friends, because well, Bitcoin is going parabolic. It's finally going to back to the all-time high. We're very close to it, like 12% away. It's scaringly close. But ladies and gents, also, if you are looking for a place to be trading Bitcoin, you can head to the top link in the description below in this video, or the top link in the chat, and you can sign up to Bitflex using this link, because you'll be able to get a chance of winning an Apple Watch giveaway that we're hosting with Bitflex, and up to $68,000 worth in additional rewards. And over here, of course, we entered this bullish trade, this long position on Bitcoin at $43,200. So massive congrats if you were able to enter this long position. This is, of course, on the $10,000 trading challenge. On my personal account, I've been dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin in spot positions ever since like $30,000 when we broke the 31K level. That's when I started accumulating Bitcoin, and 85 days left until the halving. That's when I picked up the pace, because usually looking back on-chain data, that's when it's most profitable to be DCing into Bitcoin. But huge congrats here. So going back into the price analysis, right? Let's jump into the 4-hourly time frame. Can you guys hear me, by the way? Let me know if everything is good. Thank you so much. So let's go back into the price, right? Let's go back into the price. Let's go into the 4-hourly time frame. Here you can see that this wick is a bit scary. I mean, look at the volatility that we're seeing here. What this huge doji candle represents is that we have an equilibrium in both buyers and sellers. So we can't really decide, the market can't really decide if Bitcoin is going to be going higher from this point or lower. We call this a market equilibrium, when both the buyers and sellers come to a meeting point. And, you know, we even saw a very brief dump to 58K, but Bitcoin is now back up to $60,700. Once Bitcoin broke out from this trend line of this bull flag, I added more to my long position. And if you're in the free Telegram community, you would have been alerted before this bull flag broke towards the upside and saw an increase of approximately 23%. So again, massive congrats if you're in the Telegram community. I'm still holding my long position, and that long position is going to be held until we reach $90,000 to $95,000. Is the volume poor? Please. Okay, so let me come closer to the microphone. This microphone that I'm using is not the best, so apologies. But I will try and speak closer to it. Hopefully, it will be a bit better. But thank you for letting me know. And guys, make sure to smash up the like button. Let's get this stream or video to 100 likes. That would be Amazing. So Bitcoin now is creating this volatile candle, but what's super important is that Bitcoin broke above this trend line that we were forming ever since 2015. Now, if you've been watching the videos for a while, we've been talking about this trend line and how it's super important, how Bitcoin has found support multiple times, found resistance in the past couple of months, and that this trend line is becoming weaker. And that as soon as Bitcoin breaks above this trend line, it is likely that Bitcoin reaches or comes very close to new all-time highs. That's exactly what's been happening. And additionally, Bitcoin, in terms of Consensio, which is made up of the 3, 7, and 30 period moving averages, we saw a bullish crossover at 40K, and ever since then, we've been bullish. I mentioned that I'm going to be using Consensio a lot more often on the videos and mentioning it more because it's called the tops and bottoms for Bitcoin almost perfectly. You can see in the previous 2021 cycle tops, we had the bearish crossovers, which led into the bear markets. In the bottom of Bitcoin, or close to the bottom of Bitcoin, we had the bullish crossovers here. And at these small tops that we had in the past couple of months or last year, we also had the bearish crossovers on Consensio. And then eventually we flipped bullish at 27K. We had a small bearish crossover, but at 40K, we flipped bullish again. And now we're still going higher. But as I said, $60,000 is going to give us a lot of resistance. 60K is also a huge psychological level of resistance, right? Other than it being important on the TA perspective, psychologically 60K is a whole number. Now, what I'm expecting is once we approach 69K or 66K, that's when mainstream media outlets are going to be talking about Bitcoin more. That's when your friends, family, I don't know if your friends or family have texted you yet, let me know in the comment section. But just today, when Bitcoin was at 58K, my friends have been saying, oh, Bitcoin is pumping. What do you think? Should we buy? Should we sell? What are you doing, right? So I've started to hear this kind of sentiment going around, but it's going to be a lot crazier once Bitcoin reaches the all-time high, because we're going to go through it in a minute. None of the huge mainstream media outlets are talking about it yet. And once they do, retail is going to be coming straight back, checking their Binance accounts and seeing that they're all in profits. They're either going to take profit a little bit and we see a small correction, or they're going to FOMO even more, and that's probably going to take us to the $90,000 to $95,000 levels. So additionally speaking, Bitcoin on the monthly time frame, we broke into the overbought level on the RSI. Now, a lot of people use the relative strength index wrong. So the way that you should be using it, according to many TA textbooks, is that whenever an asset class enters into the overbought region, that's typically the time to be buying the asset. So as you can see here in the previous, the previous cycles for Bitcoin, whenever we entered into the bullish zone, so the RSI entered into the overbought territory, Bitcoin pumped tremendously. We pumped before it, but the real pump started after the RSI flipped into the overbought territory. The first cycle or the second cycle, Bitcoin, it went up by 9,480%. In the second cycle, Bitcoin, after crossing the overbought line, we went up by approximately 2,500 or 2,600%. After that, Bitcoin crossed it one more time, and this was in the previous cycle, and here we went up by 580-ish% or 510%. Now, Bitcoin is doing it once more in this cycle. The trend that you probably realized is the returns are diminishing. So the returns that we get in every cycle becomes less. But even if Bitcoin sees a 300% return from this point on, so that from the open of this candle, since $40,000, if we see like a 200% return, that even takes Bitcoin to 130K, which I think is very possible due to many factors that we'll again get into later on in the video. But I think 130K is definitely possible. I think we're entering into a super cycle territory, and in the short term, 90 to 95K is where I will personally start taking profit in my positions. But that's where I'm sitting with Bitcoin. We also can see that on this candle specifically, the super trend indicator fired a buy. Now, I've talked about this many videos ago, but the super trend, whenever it fires a buy signal on the monthly time frame, it has average returns of 2,700%, which is mind-blowing. I'm not going to say we're going to see a 2,700% return, no, but even if we see a 1,000% return, it's not bad at all. Hey? So that's the cool thing about the super trend indicator. If we go into Ethereum hit $3,473, and ever since that point in price, we've been seeing a reversal. Now we're trading at $3,300. If you've been following the channel, we bought Ethereum at the 2.1, 2.2K territory. And I mentioned that if Ethereum were to break from $2,600, we're probably going to end up going a lot higher. And my initial resistance line was the $3,150 level. Now, the second one I have, which I talked about in the last update video, is at $3,500, which Ethereum basically came to perfectly. So I'm going to keep my Ethereum because it's not huge on the $10,000 trading challenge, but I just took profit before starting the stream on my personal account. So I'm personally taking profit on Ethereum. Of course, nothing in the stream/video is financial advice, just my personal TA and opinions only. Always make sure to do your own due diligence, but I think Ethereum can go a lot higher, right? I think Ethereum can go a lot higher if the spot ETFs get approved. Remember, Wall Street is making so much money from the Bitcoin ETFs, and now they're paying lobbyist groups to go to the SEC and find a resolution of getting these spot ETFs approved. So I think Ethereum does have a long way to go in terms of price action. And remember, the Denkun upgrade is soon. In terms of cycle analysis, and looking at the previous cycle and comparing it to where we are, of course, this pump that we're seeing right now is super premature, right? We've never hit the all-time high for Bitcoin before the actual halving event happened. In all of the cycles for Bitcoin, we've surpassed the all-time high after the halving event. Now, this would be the first time ever in Bitcoin's history that Bitcoin would be reaching its all-time high prior to the halving. And let me know in the chat section as well, do you think this will happen? But also remember, there was no amounts of huge institutional buying pressure in the previous halving cycles. It was not there. So this time it is different, and it is possible that Bitcoin surpasses the all-time high a lot sooner than we expected. But of course, it's sensational what is happening to Bitcoin. And of course, congratulations to all of you because we survived a huge bear market. And this, this is what we deserve. We deserve much, much more, and it will come in the upcoming months. So just stay tuned, right? Stay tuned on the CryptoKit channel. I'm DCing every single day. And hopefully Bitcoin will be trading a lot higher. And we'll get into some of the reasons. Bitcoin actually broke an all-time high in 30 different countries, ladies and gents. In 30 plus different countries, Bitcoin is trading at an all-time high. If you're wondering why altcoins aren't doing that well, such as XRP, such as Shiba Inu, but XRP in particular, I'm very bullish on, by the way, for the altcoin season. A lot of the altcoin charts look like the following. And this is because the Bitcoin dominance has been increasing incredibly. So we're sitting at 55% in terms of the Bitcoin dominance, and the altcoin season usually happens after the halving event. So there's still time for us to get to there, but right now Bitcoin is of course dominating, but eventually capital will be flowing from Bitcoin to Ethereum, which is happening right now, but both of them are simultaneously increasing. And then after the halving event, I'm expecting a monster altcoin season because I know so many altcoins, so many good projects are coming out, and they will all probably list going into summer of 2024. If we look at IBIT, which is the BlackRock spot ETF, IBIT hit a new all-time high of $36.76 ever since its inception. It's been doing pretty well. Of course, we saw a huge dip after the approval of the spot ETFs, but we created this bull flag. The bull flag broke out perfectly, and then on the macro scale, we created this huge cup and handle pattern that broke out from $29.5 to now right at $36.7 at the top. And I think I should be doing more TA now that we have some sort of price action on IBIT. I'll be looking into this more because it's so much more cleaner and it gives good analysis. But I think institutions are FOMOing now because they're seeing that, hold on a second, these things are hitting new all-time highs. There's crazy amounts of volume coming in, and that's why I think it is looking super bullish. I'll get to your comments in the upcoming minutes. I just want to finish everything that I have, and then I'll get into your comments, and then we'll look into what you guys want me to analyze, specific altcoins, so let me know in the chat section below. But if we go into the funding rates for Bitcoin, funding rates are super important because funding rates are what balances long positions and short positions, and it enables the market to kind of stabilize and reduce arbitrage. Right, so in terms of the funding rates are still okay. 0.05 is concerning, but the point where I will be, actually 0.505 isn't bad at all. The point where it gets bad is at 0.1 or 0.08. If the funding rates do reach to 0.1 or 0.08, know that a potential price move towards the downside is possible. Because when Bitcoin was trading at $49,000, right after, on January 11th, after the spot ETF approvals, the funding rates went to 0.1%. And that is what actually caused the price of Bitcoin to reduce. Some say it was buy the rumor, sell the news. I think it was partly that too. But mostly it was the funding rates. So this is an important metric to keep your eye on. I use coinalyze.net /funding rates. So do check it out and keep your eye on it. Of course, you can see it at the top section of your exchange that you're using too. And if it's getting too high, that means that a lot of long positions are funding short positions. Therefore, it's not profitable enough for long position holders to keep their positions open. So it's likely that they will close them, hence the market will reverse. And also what's going pretty high is the open interest. So open interest is good right now because volume is also increasing. So on an asset, if open interest and volume simultaneously go up and the price is also going up at the same time, that is super bullish. And that's the case that we're in right now. But if we compare this, this open interest cycle to the previous tops of Bitcoin, we can see that whenever we reach extreme greed, Bitcoin doesn't necessarily form a top, but it does indicate that the top is coming close, and we may see a drop in price in the upcoming couple of weeks. But I personally do think there's still some more momentum in Bitcoin left to continue higher. And then, of course, if we eventually form a top, we form a top, right? But at what price will this be? I think that will be fully dependent on if we cross the all-time high or not. If we cross the all-time high, things can get a little bit messy, but at this point in time, 60K is a huge level of resistance to be watching out for. The next one is $63,000, and then finally the $67,000, $69,000 territory. These are the levels that I'll be watching out for Bitcoin. Going into the next on-chain chart, I mentioned that retail traders are still not back into the markets. The current volume that's going into Bitcoin is purely from institutional investors. We're seeing $607 million worth of buying pressure into Bitcoin every single day. And this was when the ETF inflows were sitting at like $400 million. Now it's higher. And keep in mind, there's only 900 new Bitcoin released into the cycle. We'll get into more detail about that in just the upcoming minutes, so stay tuned. But there are no new entrants into the market. This on-chain graph suggests or looks at the total UTXO age bands. So we can see here the one-day holders, the weekly holders, the monthly holders, and people that have been holding Bitcoin for the past 3 months. We can see all of these metrics are currently at all-time lows. And this suggests that the retail traders are not back. And once the retail traders do come back to the markets, that's when we will see this extra FOMO event, in my personal opinion, and that could push the price of Bitcoin just that bit higher. And eventually, right, as national debt continues to rise, currencies start losing value, then of course Bitcoin can go to the 130K territory, no problem. And keep in mind, the Bitcoin supply right now is a 95% profit. So 95% of all Bitcoin addresses are currently in profit. If we reach the all-time high, of course, then all of them will be in profit. So people will be checking back, logging into their Binance account, seeing that if they didn't sell, if they held their Bitcoin, then they would be in fully realized profits, break even, and then the higher Bitcoin goes, then they actually start making money. So there's a scenario that they decide to close their positions, sell their Bitcoin, and leave, or they start to FOMO more. What we know is 87% of the Bitcoin holders, these are the guys that have been accumulating not at the top of the previous bull market, but from $20,000 to $40,000 or $20,000 to $47,000. The remainder 13%, these are the guys that have been buying the previous top of the 2021 bull market. So it's not going to be a huge sum of people, but still, they may decide to take some profits. And this chart is super, super important. I don't know where it's gone. I'll try to refresh it, but if it doesn't reload, I will construct it again because it looks at long-term holders and short-term holders for Bitcoin. This is probably one of the biggest on-chain data tools that determines when the Bitcoin bull market starts or when the bottom starts, So we'll get into that. It's not loading at this moment in time, but basically long-term holders are decreasing increasing. So long-term holders have started to sell their Bitcoin. They're moving away from their positions, and short-term holders have started to increase. Usually when we see short-term holders increasing and long-term holders leaving the market, that's typically when the Bitcoin bull market starts. And when we see a curvature in the short-term holders curving towards the downside, then we can say, okay, Bitcoin has hit a top, and now it may be potentially a time to take some profits. But we'll get into it. And this measures the risk for Bitcoin. So there's green, there's red, and there's orange, and there's yellow. So green measures very low risk, and then yellow goes into low risk. Orange goes into high risk, and then red is very high risk. So in terms of this on-chain chart, Bitcoin is currently in the high risk region. The tops usually occur at very high risk. The 2021 top didn't, but usually if we want to see a huge top, then this occurs at the very high risk region, but Bitcoin is not there yet. So I think Bitcoin definitely has some more momentum in it to continue going higher. The Fear and Greed Index is a little bit concerning at this moment in time. Bitcoin is at extreme greed. This was updated a couple of hours ago, so it's very likely that the Fear and Greed Index is higher. At the top of the previous bull market, the Fear and Greed Index was sitting at 95. Currently, the Fear and Greed is at 82. So of course, there is way to go, and the Fear and Greed could be at 99, right? But we just need to be a little bit more cautious as the greed increases, because greed is something harder to control than fear, right? And as people get greedy, usually this indicates tops in the market. By the way, thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you can smash up the like button, that would be awesome. There's 400 of you watching, so we can easily get to 200 likes. And then I'll be going into your comments and which altcoins you want me to look at going towards the ending of this live show. But if we look at the ETFs are currently seeing very good volumes. So in the previous update video, we kind of made the prediction that yesterday we would see the highest inflows into the ETFs. But keep in mind, the ETFs are T+1. So it's more likely that today we will see the record volume going into the ETFs in terms of trading volume and inflows. And that the number to beat is $685 million. Correct me if I'm wrong. So if Bitcoin today sees over $685 million of net flow into the ETFs, then that could be another catalyst that continues pushing the price of Bitcoin. Remember, the monthly candles, I think we have like 8 monthly candles back to back, which are in the green. That is, of course, something concerning. And eventually we will see a drop in price. But I just think people are so focused on the fact that supply and demand, it doesn't match. Bitcoin is getting scarcer by the minute. And the ETFs are giving access to huge institutional capital across the world. Billions and billions of dollars could be flowing in. And Bitcoin is being used in hyperinflationary countries as a store of wealth and as a hedge against inflation. But going over, so I'll leave the breaking news to last. Michael Saylor now holds over $11.8 billion worth of Bitcoin. He literally bought right over here, right, at around the $50,000 territory. And as soon as he bought, Bitcoin started to skyrocket. And his profits sit at over 93%. That's $5.7 billion worth of unrealized profits. That, ladies and gentlemen, is impressive. And in terms of where we are in the assets by market cap, Bitcoin is still in the 10th position. We are about to overtake Meta platforms, and Meta platforms and silver don't have too big of a difference. So if Bitcoin continues pumping, I think when we were at like 64, 65K, Bitcoin was over silver. So as soon as we overtake, that's also going to be creating some mainstream buzz. But when you search Bitcoin, there aren't many articles from mainstream media outlets that are published. You see Yahoo Finance, you see CNBC, okay, you see CoinDesk, but these guys are not big enough. We're not seeing the buzz. So as soon as Bitcoin reaches the previous all-time high, then you're going to be seeing every single mainstream media outlet shouting the name of Bitcoin. You're going to be seeing Instagram pages and more of the mainstream types of social media channels sharing this. And that's going to bring back everyone that was in crypto who potentially lost money, and they're going to go into their Binance accounts, their IBIT accounts, etc. And they're going to be seeing that their holdings are in profit if they did not sell. And today we did have some economic data. So the United States GDP growth rate was released, and it came I think it was below expectations. We saw a drop from 4.9% to 3.2%. Keep in mind, if we see 2 consecutive drops in GDP growth rate, then technically a country is considered to be in a recession. So if this quarter, Q1 of 2024, is also a negative in the GDP growth rate, then we could be expecting a recession, and that could devalue the United States dollar more. And against Bitcoin, right, Bitcoin could see a potential increase just because of that reason. But going into the breaking news, I think there are some more updated news that I'll get into, but I'll cover what I have right now. So let's start from the very beginning. I want to start from the very beginning, and then after I finish this, I'll be getting into your comments. Right, so let's start from the very, very, very start. Here we talked about the ETF data already. We can see that the total cumulative flow in terms of US millions of dollars, right, that is going parabolic, and we're just keeping on increasing. We only had like one red day, which was $35 million of net outflows, but we picked up the pace very quickly, and Bitcoin rebounded to seeing $500 million worth of inflows per day. And if we compare Bitcoin to the stock market, there's actually a huge similarity. And you can see that the S&P 500 is on the left and Bitcoin is on the right. So, you know, we're following a very similar structure. And if the S&P 500 continues higher, then it could be expected that Bitcoin continues higher. But the S&P 500 looks like it's about to top out. Is this going to affect Bitcoin too much? I personally don't think so, because we broke that correlation of being a tech stock. But it's something interesting to look at, because there is clearly a correlation of how Bitcoin and the S&P 500 moved. There is a time scale difference, there is a magnitude difference, but it is definitely very, very important. Now, if we look at Ethereum, the Denkun upgrade is scheduled for the 13th of March. And we know that it's going to improve transaction costs in layer 2s by a crazy amount. So Uniswap has been a prominent layer 2, actually it's a DEX, right, on Ethereum that has been going up in price a lot, and they have said that they will distribute the revenue to token holders, which is incredible. Ripple is teaming up with Axelar to enhance real-world asset tokenization on the XRP ledger. A lot of my TradeFi friends are super bullish on XRP, and I know exactly why. Like, if you tokenize, the current stock market, right? So the current institutional trading system, let's say I have a Fidelity account, right? And I want to buy some Amazon shares. Let's say I buy $1,000 worth of shares from Fidelity. So Fidelity is going to give me the $1,000 equivalent of Amazon shares immediately. But, well, Fidelity has to compensate that from their own inventory. So they put this down, right? And then they tell the NASDAQ or the New York Stock Exchange, depending on where the stock is trading on, they say, look, this person bought X amount of shares from us of Amazon, and I want, X amount of shares to be bought back for our exchange, depending on their risk management. So that process takes like 3 days. That's why you have T+1, T+2, T+3 transaction, and how many days afterwards 2 different parties have to assess, okay, a transaction has happened here. We're going to do the transaction here. It makes sense. So now we can go ahead with it. So this takes like a 3-day process. It requires so much labor, and it's super inefficient. It's a process that works, and it's existed for so many decades. By the way, Swift works almost the same way too. And it's very outdated. Now, XRP focuses on building blockchain technology for the institutions. And if they build blockchain technology for the current traditional financial system, whether it be Swift or whether it be stock trading, it's going to make a huge impact. That's why the CEO of BlackRock, super bullish on the tokenization of assets, right? So I think projects that aim to develop or find solutions for institutional clients, they will do very well. And this is why I think XRP could do very well in the upcoming altcoin season. Now, according to the CEO of CryptoQuant, we can see that newbie whales, so lower scale whales, have reached an all-time high of 7.3 billion in unrealized profits, marking unprecedented gains. But old whales, the bigger guys, they've reached unrealized profits of $40 billion. But keep in mind, I don't think they will sell, because if we compare to the previous bull market, they were sitting on unrealized profits of 145 billion. So yeah, they may be smarter now, but I don't know. I just think that Bitcoin still has a little bit more momentum left in it. It depends how we behave now, because now is a critical time. Bitcoin's facing resistance at 60K, 63K, then between 67 and 69. Those are going to be important levels. But if retail comes back, as I said, I think we could be skyrocketing a lot higher. Now, Bitcoin has passed an all-time high in over 30 countries, prominently including China and India. So you can see the flags of all the countries that Bitcoin has surpassed an all-time high in at the top right-hand section of this video. And look, I've talked about this on multiple videos, and I definitely recommend going ahead and watching Buy 0.1 Bitcoin and Become Rich. I posted this last night. And trust me, it explains, I try to do my best and explain the technology and why Bitcoin is such a revolutionary invention in this video. So I would definitely go ahead and watch it after this live stream. But essentially speaking, right, a lot of people in hyperinflationary countries, they have no other choice but to buy Bitcoin to hedge themselves against inflation. Because if their own currency, if their own local currency is devaluing and the country, the central bank itself, doesn't have dollars to give to you, then the only way that you can protect yourself is by buying gold or silver or now Bitcoin. If you want to buy gold and silver, there's problems and hassle with storing it, finding the good prices because of the black market. And it's just not convenient. Buying Bitcoin is much easier. Therefore, I think in hyperinflationary countries, like for example, in El Salvador, in Venezuela, Bitcoin is already very popular. But once bigger economies start getting into trouble, that's when we're going to be seeing huge adoption. And it's inevitable. I mean, the world currently sits on over $225 trillion of debt. Eventually, that's going to implode on itself. And when it does, people will be looking for alternatives. And that alternative may just be Bitcoin. We talked about the Google Trends and retail not coming in yet, but the ETFs, how we know it's institutional demand is because if we analyze the data of the ETFs, it's mostly the trades are over $10 million or over $1 million. So that's a good kind of basis to understand that these guys are institutional investors and not retail investors. Van Eck is apparently launching an NFT marketplace. That's pretty cool. I think we should definitely bring back NFTs. Not profile pics, but focus more on the consumer blockchain. Telegram is going to utilize the TON blockchain for ad revenue payments and withdrawals for Telegram channel owners. I think this is super bullish, and I think the TON blockchain could do very, very well in the upcoming altcoin season. Of course, not financial advice, but I am personally looking to buying some TON coins after this live stream because I think this is huge. So millions of people around the world use Telegram, and they're going to be forced to learn about blockchain and educate themselves. So I think they're doing an awesome thing here. And I think that the TON coin could also do very well simultaneously. Now, in terms of stats, I mean, the ETFs, the 10 Bitcoin ETFs, they've been trading higher volumes than the S&P 500 ETF or the QQQ. These are the biggest ETFs in the world. So this is no joke. That's why Wall Street has caught, they've caught attention onto the Bitcoin ETFs. There's FOMO from huge financial advisory firms like the Carlson Group, which is a $30 billion firm. Then Bitwise said that they're getting exposure into a $100 billion firm. So there are incredible positive news. And if we look here, right, we talked about this as well. The total exchange flows are decreasing. This orange line here represents the total Bitcoin in exchanges. And the black line represents the price of Bitcoin. So clearly people are buying Bitcoin, taking their Bitcoin off of exchanges and storing it in a hardware wallet. And if people don't sell, well, then the price of Bitcoin is going to be going up, right? So I think it's incredible news that this is the situation. Guys, don't forget to smash up the like button. Let's hit 150 likes. That would be awesome. But it's just the ETFs look incredible, and I'm super happy that we're seeing the institutional demand that Bitcoin was searching for the past 7 years, right? And moving forward, we can see that Mike Novogratz said that Bitcoin price is still in the discovery phase. Maybe really for the first time since it's been an asset, it's getting a chance to get exposure from U.S. wealth. And it's hard to predict where we stop, especially after we break the $69,000 all-time high. After we break the all-time high, we're now entering into unprecedented territory. So it's like we can't go back into previous history of Bitcoin and then say, okay, looking at the previous history, Bitcoin will go there. Like it's tough to make a prediction based off of TA because you're entering into uncharted territories. Of course, my personal target is between $90,000 to $95,000. This mostly relies on logarithmic regression, but after surpassing 69K, it's tough to make a prediction. I think the first initial top is going to be $90,000, $95,000, and then we can surpass and go to $130,000. Another important thing to note is that the Bitcoin ETPs, so all Bitcoin exchange products across the world. So keep in mind, right? It's not only the Bitcoin spot ETFs that exist in the United States. We have different ETFs globally, and these ETFs also hold Bitcoin as underlying assets. And the global ETPs, they're nearing 1 million Bitcoin under management. They're currently sitting at 980,000 Bitcoin, which translates to basically 1/19 of the entire Bitcoin circulating supply. And look, think about it, right? In just 1.5 months, the Bitcoin spot ETFs, the ones in the US, they've accumulated 100,000 Bitcoin. And this is 1.5 months. Think about it in a year. So in 12 months, right, these guys theoretically should be accumulating 1.2 million Bitcoin. But how is that going to be possible? Because, well, after the halving, the daily new Bitcoin released into the market is going to be falling down from 900 Bitcoin to 450 Bitcoin. So there's not going to be enough supply to be meeting the demand. And based off of fundamental economics, well, the price of the asset, like I've been saying in the past couple of weeks, should go a lot higher than where it is. And this is incredibly bullish, right? And if there is no supply and demand cannot be met, then the price of Bitcoin would fly and go to astronomical levels. And what is also crazy is that IBIT broke its personal record in terms of volume, and it hit $1.3 billion of volume yesterday. Today it's probably higher. And for context, that's more than the most large cap United States stocks. So that's huge that IBIT is surpassing volume of the big blue chip stocks in the United States. This is something to be mindful of. We're now entering into a phase where people are going euphoric again, and a lot of people are going to be trying to time the top, right? Trying to exit at exactly the top, but unfortunately, only about 10% of these people manage to do it because greed gets to us. Greed is something worse than fear. We can't control greed. And that's why I'm personally spending hours per day strategically thinking on how I'm going to exit and how I'm going to be investing into altcoins and moving my Bitcoin into the altcoins. But I would definitely spend time looking into this because you should have a percentage goal in your head. Let's say I'm okay with 15 or 20% gains on my Bitcoin. Then I'm going to take profit, for example, right? But coming up with a system like that, I think is super important because otherwise you lose out, right? And it's good to take profits, in my opinion. Not taking profits is not a wise thing to do, based off of my experience, and I've been there, and I do regret it a lot. So taking profits doesn't hurt, making money doesn't hurt, and that's why this time around I'm gonna make sure that that doesn't happen. But the expectations for interest rate cuts have been going down and down and down. Just over a month ago, the base case showed that there was a 50% plus chance of 6 rate cuts in 2024. After a month and a half, the markets now see a 38% chance of 4 interest rate cuts in 2024. That is a significant reduction, and that could cause the S&P 500 to see a reversal back down. Now, this was an interesting point made by the White House. And my personal response to this statement of Bitcoin mining putting significant strain on the power grids is that, personally speaking, if the current monetary system spends so much more energy compared to Bitcoin mining, right? Think of all the electricity used in banks. Think of all of the people commuting to go to the bank and then coming back to their homes, all of the ATMs across the world. There's so much energy that is being used by the current monetary system. And if you compare that to Bitcoin, I think that if you use Bitcoin, you're actually conserving energy and you're not, compared to what we have now. So yeah, that's my personal thought on it. And this was crazy bullish. Of course, this was on February the 11th. We talked about this multiple weeks ago on the channel and on Twitter. Once Bitcoin breaks the 61.8 Fibonacci level, historically speaking, Bitcoin does tend to create new all-time highs, and we're on track to do that. So massive congrats if you were able to accumulate some. That was when Bitcoin was breaking, I believe, $48,000. As I said, 95% of the current Bitcoin wallet addresses are now in profit. Once we reach 69K, that's going to be 100% of the wallets being in profit. So when are people going to be taking their money out of the markets? That's a question mark, but it's going to be an interesting next couple of weeks for sure. And this is crazy. Jim Cramer, so one day after the approval of the spot ETFs, he said that checking in with Larry Williams, major top in Bitcoin, major. This was when Bitcoin was 49K. But since then, Bitcoin has rallied by 38%. God, I wish I could invest in the inverse Cramer ETF. Honestly, it's really incredible how accurate that is. But yeah, as I was saying, the total Bitcoin being purchased by ETFs sit today at 10,000 Bitcoin. Yesterday, it was at 9,800 Bitcoin, I believe. And as I said, the new Bitcoin produced by miners is only 900. So that's like a over 10x amount in demand compared to the supply released. And that is incredibly bullish. MicroStrategy stock is up 40% this week. I've mentioned this also in previous videos. I think that Coinbase and MSTR would do very well, and clearly here MSTR is approaching all-time highs. MicroStrategy just has the goal of accumulating more Bitcoin and developing Bitcoin software, developing Bitcoin overall. So any company that aims to develop Bitcoin, I think will do very well. And that's why I was super bullish on Stacks, and that was at like $1.3. Now it's above $3. So any project that aims to develop Bitcoin, make Bitcoin better, I'm personally bullish on. But that basically covers our breaking news in our entire video. Let's quickly check Twitter if there are anything new since I compiled that information. But Bitcoin is just being very volatile right now. I'm going to be jumping back into the price of Bitcoin, and then I'm going to be going into your comments and what you think, what you guys think about the market overall, and if there's anything that you want me to be looking into. But no, it appears to be the same. There isn't much new things coming along. Actually, there is. I need to reload it so that it's up to date. We can see here from Eric Balchunas, the trading explosion is spilling into the Bitcoin futures ETFs as well. Check out BITX, the 2x Bitcoin futures smashing its volume record with 3 hours to go still. BITO and BITI also headed towards record days. All 9 Bitcoin ETFs in top 100 most active, totaling 6.7 billion. Unbelievable. Incredibly bullish. So this is huge. This is huge. The volumes are coming in. They're attracting investors. They're attracting institutional demand because they've not seen anything like this. Like institutional investors are not used to this, and they're probably being shocked by what Bitcoin is doing right now. So Coinbase apparently crashes, and it wiped almost 100 billion off of the Bitcoin market. So guys, is there anyone that uses Coinbase? I don't use Coinbase, but apparently it crashed and it wiped almost $100 billion of Bitcoin from the market capitalization. So this is why we saw the dump. It's because Coinbase crashed. Okay, that makes sense. That makes sense. I didn't know that. But I think some of you were saying it in the comment section. I must have missed it, but that's crazy. Wow, that's incredible. So people can't see their balances. It means that retail is coming back. It means that retail is coming back, and they're obviously going onto the application and trying to see their balance, trying to see their crypto. But it's just a good indication that retail have started to FOMO back in. So Coinbase support. We're aware that some users may see a zero balance across their Coinbase accounts and may experience errors in buying or selling. Our team is investigating this and will provide an update shortly. Your assets are safe. Okay, so if you do have a Coinbase account, I would definitely recommend going to this website where you can probably get the latest updates, but they say that your assets are safe. It's probably a bug and hopefully it should be solved soon. But yeah, so that was the breaking news. Coinbase stock, by the way, I think Coinbase also probably saw a dip in their stock too. We can just have a look at it in a couple of seconds, but everybody's saying the same thing. It's the sign of the bull market. It shows that people are coming back to the platform and want to check, of course, they want to check their account statuses and everything else, right? There's a casual decline of 13.8% in open interest in the past 38 minutes on Binance. Shorts are wrecked and late longs also got wrecked. So this could also be orchestrated, right? We got to consider every single possibility because with the wick that Bitcoin created, new long entrants into the market, well, they all got wiped out, right? So they all got wiped out, and short positions also got wiped out at the same time. So you should consider all possibilities at all times. Definitely super interesting that this happened, but yeah, it's interesting. But everybody's saying the same thing. It's super funny. Everybody has the same take on it. But I think that's pretty much it with the breaking news. That covers everything that I wanted to discuss. So now I can go into some of your comments and we can go into the price of Bitcoin. I'll leave the chart of Bitcoin open and we can go into some of your altcoins. But wow, okay, there's been many comments. Thank you for your patience. I hope the audio was fine. I hope the video was fine, but I hope that wasn't an issue. Hello. Yes. Okay, cool. A lot of you in the chat. Let me know, by the way, where are you guys tuning in from? I forgot to do that. I was just so focused with the Bitcoin price. But let me know, where are you guys tuning in from? And thank you so much for your awesome comments. God, I wish I checked it earlier on because you guys were mentioning the Coinbase situation a lot earlier. But don't worry, I'm sure everything is fine, right? Just go to status.coinbase.com and that will give you the latest updates. If you're looking for alternative exchanges, I have some of the exchanges that I personally use in the description, and they have pretty cool offers too if you are looking for, of course, other exchanges to trade and accumulate Bitcoin on. But yeah, wow, okay, just trying to catch up with everything. Wow, you guys really all got panic attacks. Sorry for not checking this earlier on. But don't worry, I don't think Coinbase is the new MTGOX. I think they're fine. Remember, they're a publicly traded company, so it's a lot harder for them to be going down compared to any other cryptocurrency exchange. So yeah, I would just... Look, Bitcoin saw a huge surge in price in the past couple of hours. It's like hugely unprecedented and exchanges are having a hard time. It's not easy to handle all that volume coming in, but I'm sure that Coinbase is okay. No need to worry, guys. No need to FUD. Wow, everybody's been panicking. That is crazy. Everybody's been panicking. Oh no. Guys, that's funny. That is funny. Now I'm super glad. It's not funny actually. It is not funny. I would have had a heart attack. So definitely not funny at all. Is Robinhood fine? I'm hearing that other exchanges are also having issues. But yeah. So I think it's fine. It's fine now. Hello from Dubai. Hello from Latvia. Thank you guys. You are all awesome. But yeah, thank you guys so much for tuning into the stream. But yeah, that's pretty much summarizing where I wanted to come to. Sweden. Thank you guys for tuning in. You are all fantastic. I'll go into a couple of my altcoins. We have Ireland, we have Jamaica, we have so many countries as usual across the world. There's Fetch. Okay, so I'll go into some of the altcoins. Robinhood was apparently gone, but apparently Robinhood is back up again. Yeah, it's crazy. There's crazy stuff happening in the market right now. Let's go into, as I said earlier on in the stream, I think XRP is probably one of the altcoins that will do very well in the upcoming bull market. But I want to go into Shiba Inu. And I want to go into Shiba. You're probably like, what? Shiba Inu out of everything? Look, I have a history with Shiba. If you don't know my story, the first amount of large money I made was when I was 12, 13 years old. And that was with Shiba Inu. I bought Shiba when it was like here. And I was super lucky. Just a couple of weeks after, it did this. And guess what? I sold, right? I put it into other altcoins, but I could have sold a lot more. It was huge. So Shiba, I mean, a lot of the altcoins look exactly like this. If you research for altcoins that generate a lot of revenue, they have good business models, they have a public team, they're working on a good mission to spread Bitcoin adoption, to innovate, then these projects should hypothetically be doing well in the macro, right? And if you find these projects, then look at different diversifying strategies. Personally, I like the little old lady strategy because the more money you make from altcoins, you just funnel it back into Bitcoin. And by doing that, you create generational wealth. But of course, first we need to see the altcoin season, and then we can funnel the money we make from altcoins back into Bitcoin. Until then, we just got to wait in the sidelines. But I think Shiba is nice. Shiba is developing a lot. So I like Shiba. I like VeChain because VeChain wants to revolutionize the supply chain industry. And the concept of authentication and the concept of being able to prove that a good or service is actually farm to table, it's ESG compliant, it's carbon footprint compliant, etc., whatever the agenda that's going on right now is. I think it's revolutionary and it gives a real world use case for the technology itself. So that's why XRP, I'm super bullish for TradeFi. VeChain, I'm super bullish for supply chain, which is a $50 trillion industry, by the way. VeChain, I bought it at the previous all-time high, can't lie. But hey, it is what it is. I'm still holding my VeChain bags. On top of this, what I really like was Stacks, but I think Stacks, it's a bit too late for Stacks at the moment because you can see we're over $3. And I was talking about Stacks when it was trading at like 1.3-ish. So around here is when I talked about it. And then now it's done like a 3x since. So maybe it's a little bit late for Stacks. We've already passed previous all-time highs. But yeah, those are the altcoins that I'm personally looking at in terms of, yeah. But yeah, I'm starting to slowly lose my voice. Ladies and gents, thank you so much for watching. I'm going to keep it to that. Of course, if there's any new breaking news updates regarding Bitcoin or the cryptocurrency space, if I can't make a video at that specific moment in time, then I will be posting it in my free Telegram community, which you can join using the link in the description below. Remember, $60,000, incredible line of resistance. $63,000, incredible line of resistance. 67 to 69, that is also a range within itself. But if Bitcoin nears those levels, I think we're going to be seeing a huge mainstream media push, but be careful in the short term, stay safe, and I will be seeing you all in the next video, hopefully very soon. Turn on the notification bell. This is the time where you do not want to miss out on any single crypto update video, but it was super nice to have you guys on the show. Have a great day, everyone, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care, and bye-bye.